Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we are taking a really profound journey into what is honestly one of the most masterful philosophical texts ever written, the Yoga Vasistha. Specifically, we're diving into Canto 2, titled The Ascent to Awakening. I want you to just imagine for a second sitting in a quiet, ancient forest ashram. The knowledge we're about to unpack here has literally been passed down from guru to disciple for thousands of years. And the best part? This isn't just some abstract theory. It's a completely practical map to absolute inner peace.
Okay, let's dive into this. We're going to start with the context and the core problem, then explore the actual mechanics of worldly illusion. From there, we'll look at how to transcend that illusion, how to practice everyday equanimity, and finally wrap up with a summary and a little teaser of what's next.
Section 1. The Context and the Problem. Sage Vasistha's dialogue with Sri Ram.
So to set the scene, Prince Sri Ram literally has it all. Every worldly luxury you could imagine. But despite that, he's fallen into this really deep sorrow. He's looking around and seeing only the decaying, fleeting nature of the material world. And right at this critical moment, Sage Vasistha steps in. Now, pay attention to his radical shift in perspective here. Vasistha doesn't address Rama as some fragile, depressed prince. Instead, he says, "Salutations to Sri Ram, not as a mere prince, but as the embodiment of Brahman, the ultimate reality." He's immediately reminding Rama, and, well, us too, that our true nature is actually supreme consciousness. The sorrow? That's just a passing cloud.
Now, that temporary clouding actually has a specific name in Sanskrit. It's called avidya, which translates to ignorance. But wait, this isn't about failing a math test or a lack of intellectual knowledge. It's a deep metaphysical ignorance of our true nature. Avidya is the absolute root cause of all worldly suffering because it heavily binds the soul to past memories, traumas, and unfulfilled desires. But here's the absolute game changer. The duration of this ignorance, it's entirely up to you. It literally only lasts as long as the mind remains unexamined. The very second you shine the light of inquiry on it, avidya just begins to dissolve.
What's really interesting here is the stark contrast between our two possible states of existence. First, you have the bound mind. This mind is chained so heavily to its own history. Every single reaction, every bit of sorrow, is dictated by past conditionings and memories. Now contrast that with the renounced mind. This mind is totally freed from past attachments. Now that doesn't mean the past didn't happen, right? It just means the past no longer aggressively dictates the present moment. It rests in complete, unshakable equanimity. The suffering of the bound mind is strictly, 100% tied to its obsession with memory.
Section 2. The Mechanics of Illusion. Time, Space, and Dimensions. Having diagnosed the individual mind, Sage Vasistha totally zooms out to the cosmic scale, because to truly free the mind, we have to actually understand the mechanics of the reality we think we're living in. And this brings us to the concept of Maya. Maya is usually just translated as illusion, but honestly, it's way more profound than some cheap magic trick. It is the cosmic power of consciousness that projects the entire multidimensional universe. Think of it kind of like a grand, incredibly intricate dream. Within that dream, the objects you touch feel totally solid, and the time that passes feels completely real. Maya is the active force that makes the unreal appear absolutely real to the observer trapped inside it.
So you might be wondering, and I want you to really ponder this. If Maya means that the core dimensions we rely on every day, time and physical space, are ultimately just illusory projections of the mind, then what exactly is the true nature of the universe? If it's not just a giant physical box containing stars and planets, what is it? Let's look at Vasistha's answer.
The Yoga Vasistha presents this staggering view of reality that frankly sounds a lot like modern multidimensional physics. Time isn't a straight line. It's entirely cyclical. These vast cosmic cycles are called kalpas. In the first epoch, infinite consciousness basically projects a universe. Then, in the second epoch, through the power of Maya, this projection expands, and time and space start to appear completely solid to the beings living inside it. But eventually, in the third epoch, the cycle ends, and the entire cosmic illusion just folds right back into the pure consciousness it originated from. We're talking universes existing within universes, and it's all entirely relative to the observer's mind.
Listen closely to this profound instruction from the guru to his disciple. The universe is but a reflection in the mirror of consciousness. Space and time do not exist outside the mind. Just let that sink in for a second. The literal meaning here is that the physical world has absolutely no independent reality of its own.
Philosophically, Vasishta is teaching that we aren't small, fragile beings sitting inside a massive universe. Actually, the entire multidimensional universe exists within us. It all happens within our consciousness.
And that ultimate consciousness, that is called Brahman. Brahman is the ultimate reality. It's formless, infinite, and all-pervading. Think of it as the blank, silent movie screen upon which this incredibly complex, noisy movie of Maya is being projected. Brahman is the rock-solid bedrock beneath the illusion. And more importantly, absolutely crucial actually, it is the true, untarnished nature of your very own soul.
Section 3. Transcending Maya, the means to overcome the world. Okay, so we've seen the problem, and we've mapped out the illusory universe. Now, how do we actually transcend it? Well, here is the classical step-by-step path to salvation outlined by the sage. Step 1 is simply acknowledging the illusion, waking up and seeing the world for the fleeting projection it really is. Step 2 is renouncing those attachments and heavy past memories. And step 3 is realizing your true self as formless Brahman. So the crucial point here is this. None of these steps require you to run away to a cave in the Himalayas. True renunciation happens entirely internally.
I absolutely love this next analogy from the text. Burn the seed of ignorance in the roaring fire of knowledge. Think about a regular seed. If you plant a normal seed in the ground, it's going to sprout into a plant. In our context today, that plant is worldly suffering. But if you take that exact same seed and completely roast it in a fire, it might look exactly the same on the outside, but if you plant it, it can literally never sprout again. When you burn your ignorance in the fire of true spiritual knowledge, your mind can no longer generate future worldly suffering. It's done. And this clears up one of the single greatest misconceptions in all of spiritual philosophy. True renunciation is not abandoning the world. You absolutely do not need to leave your family, quit your job, or dodge your responsibilities. True renunciation is about achieving complete victory over the mind and its past conditionings. It's the renunciation of the psychological baggage you carry around every day, which then allows you to act in the world with total freedom and absolute clarity.
Section 4. Practical equanimity. Applying the wisdom of Vashishtha.
So, how do we actually take this high-level, ancient philosophy and apply it to our stressful, modern daily lives? Well, here is your practical daily toolkit. First, try to view your problems as relative and fleeting. When you remind yourself of those vast cosmic cycles of time, today's crisis suddenly feels a whole lot smaller, doesn't it? Second, actively detach from the heavy baggage of past memories. Do not let yesterday dictate today's peace of mind. Third, maintain equanimity. Try to stay balanced in both your joy and your sorrow. Fourth, and this one is super powerful, treat the waking world with the detachment of a dream. Engage with it, sure, enjoy the dream, but know it is an absolute reality. And finally, anchor your true identity in pure consciousness.
And this brilliantly illustrates the immediate real-world benefit of this knowledge. Just consider the ignorant reaction. Believing the material world is absolute causes absolute panic and deep emotional turmoil. Every single problem feels insurmountable and heavy. But the wise action, it is entirely different. By deeply knowing the multidimensional projected nature of reality, you don't become passive or lazy. Rather, you act in the world with incredibly calm detachment. You end up solving problems way more efficiently because you aren't blinded by panic.
Section 5. Summary and teaser. Concluding the ascent to awakening.
We have covered a tremendous amount of ground today. But if we pull it all together, think about the stark difference between these two paradigms. When we live in the realm of worldly illusion, our identity is bound by the mind, time feels terrifyingly absolute and linear, and the result, well, it's endless suffering. But when we shift our perspective to ultimate reality, we realize our identity is infinite Brahman, we understand time is cyclical and totally relative, and the solution to our suffering is simply burning that seed of ignorance in the roaring fire of true knowledge. Ultimately, Sage Vasistha's instruction in Canto 2 can be completely distilled into this beautifully classical conclusion. With the mind conquered, the world is conquered. Rest in your true self. The entire universe is navigated perfectly the exact moment you stop trying to desperately conquer external circumstances and simply choose to master the mind that perceives them. Which leaves us with this final, genuinely thrilling thought. We've established that the mind, through Maya, projects reality. So, if the mind literally creates the universe, what happens when we start to intentionally shape that creation? Well, Canto 3 dives deep into the active, miraculous powers of the mind and the very nature of creation itself. You definitely won't want to miss it. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I look forward to continuing this incredible journey of awakening with you next time.